Hello and welcome back to the next One Piece review and discussion. Didn't think we were getting it this early. I thought we were having to wait till New Year, but we've just got the leaks in before we go into 2024. So it is not an Oda break, this one. This one is a Shonen Jump break across the board. So leaks have still come out, it's still being published, but the official release won't be until next Sunday because of Shonen Jump themselves having the break. But nevertheless, this is the chapter that's going to kickstart our 24, and my goodness, are we starting off with a banger. So, without further ado, chapter 1103. I'm sorry, Dad, or I'm sorry, Daddy, because we are obviously focused on Bonney and her relationship with Kuma, and there is no cover story this week, but we have a lovely, lovely colour spread of all of the Straw Hats, including Yamato. So, whether this is just Oda almost confirming that Yamato is a Straw Hat and will be joining at some point, but everyone there, they are celebrating. They are with Momo as well, because obviously it's the year of the dragon next year. So all have a nice celebration. Most notably though, the coolest, by far the coolest aspect of this image is Frankie's hairstyle. Like, can Frankie have that hairstyle in like the manga and anime? Because his hair's a dragon, and that's just so cool. Like, everyone else looks fairly same, like all just chilling and celebrating. Like, Zoro's drinking, Sanji's cooking, Brooke's rocking out, but that just looks sick. But yeah, noticeable that Yamato is included in this lineup, and Momo's there because of Year of the Dragon. That we can get away with that one, but Yamato, Oda's hitting at things. Anyway, last we left off in the previous chapter, we had wrapped up the absolutely devastating backstory of Kuma. We'd come full circle, we were back to the present, and we finished with Bonney having witnessed all the memories from the thought bubble. So the copy of memories that Kuma made for Vegapunk as a promise to research and look into, Bonney absorbed it all. She touched the bubble. Memories have gone now. She knows everything. And it is her coming out of the room now. And Vegapunk's there, like exhausted. Like, he's out of breath. He's panting. And he's like, Bonney, you saw everything, haven't you? You know, I've broke my promise to Kuma now. I've really done it. And Bonnie's like stunned for a second. And then as she steps up to give Vegapunk a hug, she shrinks back to being a child. She is this little girl giving Vegapunk a hug, apologising after everything. And bless her, she must be... she in the flashback, she was celebrating her 10th birthday. There was a little bit of time, and then obviously the 2-year time skip. Could be 12... could be 13. She's very young still. Very, very young. But nevertheless, Vegapunk says, look, Kuma left you a gift as well on your 10th birthday. And it is a sapphire necklace in the shape of like a flower. And she's like, wow, it looks like the sun. Sun god? Nika? Quite on the nose. But Vegapunk said it is a protective charm. That's what Kuma said. And, you know, it's hard to believe, like, how far you've come after just these 2 years. You know, how strong you've gotten. And Bonnie still sat there, just sat next to Vegapunk saying, you know, Straw Hat, he's, you know, the son of Dad's old buddy then, right? And Vegapunk's like, yeah, it's a weird, like, twist of fate. You know, it's so strange that, like, you two showed up together. Like, I was kind of surprised myself. But, a lot's happened while you've been in that room still. So, during this whole night, when the Straw Hats were dealing with the Seraphim, Bonney was still locked in the room, looking through the memories. And he's like, look, the Straw Hat crew actually saved me. Just now, in fact. I'll explain everything when we meet up with them. But, we're waiting for things to calm down here. So, during the night, when the Straw Hats fought off the Seraphim and dealt with York shenaniganry, they saved Vegapunk, and he immediately came for Bonney. He knew where Bonney was. He came to the room. She's here. And they're still dealing with stuff, but they've probably got York and Lucci and all them dealt with at this point. Bonney has yet to witness Luffy in his Gear 5th form, but she is now listening to Vegapunk as we transition into the present. So Vegapunk is apologising. He's saying he is worthless, a mere scientist for hire, just following orders, and he feels broken. And as Bonnie's thinking about those final words, she's like, you know what? No, you're wrong. The real villain is him. And we jump to now present Egghead. Saturn holding Bonney above the Marine Commodores or higher, or guns aimed, snipers, whatever artillery aimed at Bonney. And Kuma's like, Jewelry Bonney, the pirate. Your father, Kuma, is truly dead. And everyone is watching on, but they're still being held down by some pressure, some power. We don't yet know if it's a mechanic of St. J. Garcia's Devil Fruit. Is it just his sheer presence of conquerors? What is he doing in his circumference that is pinning Sanji, Frankie, Atlas, Vegapunk? They are all sort of locked in place. And we see a dishevelled Luffy, pleading for food. And Atlas is like, look, I'd go and get you food if I could, but my body just won't move. And we hear on the radio that Sentomaru has been caught, apprehended, in custody, and we see Kizaru lying on the floor in thought, thinking about Sentomaru, thinking about Bonney. Mind you, we now know how much time he has spent on this island with Bonney, Kuma, Vegapunk, Sentomaru. They became a family, and he was a part of it. So this is very hard for him right now. We got more perspective of how hard it is. But there is a global radio chatter from the Marines saying, is there any update? What's actually happening? And the response is, we can't confirm anything since only Commodores and higher are allowed to be there. No one else can see what's happening. So, we've all got to stay over here. But we jump to the revolutionaries briefly, just talking about, what's actually happening, a siege that's being involved. So it's already being publicised, what's happening at this moment. Morgan's on it. But they're talking about, this could put O'Hara to shame, the siege that's being laid waste here, how much is going to Egghead. And Dragon and Ivankov are talking about, Kuma having just escaped and just left. And it's where would he go? Where would Kuma go? And Ivankov's if it was me, I would just go straight Maurijois and just lay waste and get some payback. And Dragon's but as you know, Kuma is very different. Is this a sign? But anyway, Bonney, in his clutches of Saturn, just says, you know what, if I'm going to be killed, then I might as well go down swinging. So she uses Distorted Future, she leaps up, breaks free of his grasp, goes into that huge form again, and does her Nika-like future, and goes to punch Saturn square in the face, and even he's stunned for a second, like, Nika? What? And as soon as she connects, she immediately deflates back to a dull Bonney, but says like, whoa, like, why have I suddenly just gone weak all of a sudden? Like, what's happening? And St. J. Garcia Saturn's like, you know that name. You really are his daughter, you know. That being said, you still do not fully understand its meaning. And in his head, he's like, right, she hasn't made the connection yet between Straw Hat's new form and Nika. So he's already onto it, but she isn't. And he's like, how pathetic. And all of a sudden he looks over and there is a abundance of food being ingested by Luffy right now. And he's like, where did that food come from? Who is possibly responsible for this? Somebody put some sea stone prism cuffs on him immediately. And Luffy is just like stuffing his face, like eating as much as he can, like as quick as he can. And as we see them rush over, Kizaru is just sat up now against some of the rubble, just thinking in ellipses. Has Kizaru had second thoughts and has just gone and got food for Luffy? Think about it. The man knows the island well enough. He's being very sentimental. He doesn't want to do this, but he is following orders. He's trying to save face. But at this point, has it all become too much? What if he's the quickest person here. The food wasn't there, and then all of a sudden it appeared, almost as if by the speed of light. I mean, if this isn't a little cheeky nod that it could be leading towards Kizaru teaming up with Luffy to take on Saturn, I mean, what? Like, who else could have possibly got food there to Luffy? Everyone's currently pinned down by the aura. The only other higher up rank Marine we know who isn't would follow orders and is that quick is Kizaru. Yeah, we don't know where Blackbeard pirates are, but I doubt they're going to intervene. I doubt any other Straw Hat's done this. The only chance, the only possibility of the food being there is Kizaru helping out. I can't believe that's currently where I'm leaning towards. Kizaru is teaming up with Luffy now. Like, anyway, Bonney is trying to change Saturn's age, and she can't do it. She's pushing on his hand, trying to change his age, and it's just not working. Is this another sort of nod from Oda to say that the Gorosei are ageless? They are immortal? Or that devil fruits don't work against them? Or certain ones? Bonney can distort anyone's future just by touching them. Why is he different? Is it his devil fruit? Is it something he possesses? We know how old he is, or presumably how old he is. But Saturn is the one to say, look, Bonney, you owe that power of yours to me. And she's like, wait, what? And Saturn goes on to explain that during his time in Marizwa, he conducted experiments. And it was to determine whether extracted infusions of a devil fruit could be granted to a baby in birth. The ability. Can it be passed on? And he wanted to do it so that you wouldn't feed the fruit to the baby normally. So you eat the devil fruit, you get the power. He wanted to see if you could pass it on genetically. And he said, look, it was a success. You've got your powers. However, the fruit is useless now. So it's still by law that there can only be one of those fruits, one of the devil fruits in use at any one time. So no two people can have the same power. So in this instance where he was experimenting, Ginny and Bonney couldn't have the same power. So Ginny might have had it, but through the infusions given to Bonney as a child, as a baby, she then manifested it later on because Ginny didn't have it anymore. She passed on. And Garcia's like, look, you need to understand what this power is. You know, its ability can transform you into a state that matches any future perceived to be possible. It's a pretty broken ability. Any future you can perceive, you can transform into. But there's a drawback. As you grow up, as you get older, your future becomes more certain. You know what future you're going to take. That means the possibilities become more limited. So as you uncover the truth of your future, your view narrows. So this fruit going to Bonney when it did was great. As a child, she had a limitless choice of futures because she could take any path. But the older she got, the less options she had for her future, which meant the less futures she could transform into. But look, Nika is just some impossible myth, he says, that you believe in. And she's like, no, like, I've been looking for him to save Dad, you know, ever since you turned him into a cyborg slave, you know. But he's like, look, your sudden weakness here just proves that you doubt he exists. And at this point, we can see Kuma flying through the sky, heading somewhere. And he's like, look, your father passed on this buccaneer legend, this worthless tale. And he even told me himself, and we see when Kuma was a child, so it must have been during God Valley, he wanted to save people just like Nika. And look, Garcia's like, your mother was wife number 8. It's ironic, really. She ended up being a part of my drug experiment. And like the others, she developed sapphire scales. The results were poor, but to think that the condition would pass on to you as well is, a shame. And something hit the island at an incredible speed and power. And everyone's freaking out. But Bonnie's realising now that everything that's happened is because of St. J, Garcia. And she's just broken now, crying. And Vegapunk is enraged. He is like, how dare you, Saturn? You know, those sapphire scales tore Kuma's family apart. The reason he threw his life away, and you used it as a bargaining chip when you were the one responsible. And Garcia just stands there and he's like, look at it from my perspective. Do you comprehend the feeling of the insects you step on? Of course not. Oh, this dude doesn't care. And he's just present now. Everyone is afraid. But Kuma has made landfall on the island. At first, people think it's another pacifista that just came on the island with the other ones, but then they see his poor hands. And he is pissed. Kuma charges through everyone. And the Marines are like, we have urgent information. Kuma has made landfall. He is here. He's heading straight for the centre of the island. And the authority chips aren't working. We can't stop him. And St. J's like, how could he possibly be here? And even Vegapunk's like, wait, Kuma's here. And we see Kuma just charging an absolute onslaught. Like, the firepower that is hitting him from all these Marines is incredible, but it doesn't stop him. And as he's running through, as he's taking all this gunfire and explosions and rockets and the array of damage he's already suffered from trying to get here, on top of this damage, he still doesn't stop. This huge figure runs. And Bonney is like, look, Daddy, it feels like my heart has shattered. You know, at this point, I think I'd be better off dead. This is it now. And she is just like bawling. She's like, I'm sorry, Dad. And Garcia's like, oh, that's shrieking. It's unbearable. Someone, just deal with her. Just blow her head off. And as they line up their shots, the Kuma track sniper scope locks in, and 2 explosions either side of St. J. Garcia go off. So as he's holding Bonney aloft, massive destruction around. And he throws Bonney to the ground and is immediately going to use one of his spider legs to pincer Bonney. And look, we see a massive hand come in, and we see the unbelievable shot of Kuma holding Bonney close to his chest, and through his back is St. J. Garcia's leg. He got there in time to save Bonney. He just took the hit. My guy. And she is just ecstatic. She sees her dad for the first time in a long time. And he doesn't just stop. Kuma reaches back, pulls out the spike of Saturn's leg, and he keeps hold of it. And as he twists his body, he coats his hand in armament, and he is going to punch the hell out of St. J. Garcia. And the final shot is the look on St. J. Garcia's face, and it is one of fear. And that is where the chapter ends. Kuma readying this punch. Bonney has shrunk back down to a child as well, by the way. She is tiny. But he is pissed. Oh, he looks so good. Like, I can't just comprehend how sick this shot looks. Like, I know, like, Kuma's a huge dude, but, like, Saturn's bigger than him. And he just takes this leg just to protect Bonney. There is no break. So it means we wait for the next chapter release, or this chapter release next week. And then the following week, we should get 1104. Why is Saturn so afraid of Kuma right now? How is Kuma even here? Things to find out. Okay, well, I guess that about wraps it up. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I will see you guys next time.